Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Analytics Africa June 2024 webinar. I am Tosin Shobukola. I am the convener of Analytics Africa. And tonight we will be talking on agriculture and AI. The actual topic is demystifying AI, the impact of AI on agriculture in Africa. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our new faces. Welcome, Anuradha, and welcome, Deepak. Thank you for joining. And it's a pleasure to have you here. And we appreciate you for coming in on time. We started 5 minutes late to allow people to join. And today seems to be a very busy day. It's been raining in town in Nigeria for a few days, so we can expect that people are stuck in traffic and having one challenge or the other. However, we are recording this and streaming live to YouTube, so we would not delay any further, and anybody who wants to watch you can catch up with the recording later on. So without further ado, we would get started. And before we get started, when we want to start, we always have a conversation about what Analytics Africa is, who we are, what we stand for. Analytics Africa is a non-for-profit organization, or better said, a social benefit organization that has been set up to help professionals in the data and analytics and AI space come together, rub minds, have conversations, and ensure that a lot of good things are being done about AI and data analytics. We are not in the position to sell courses, no. We would do that on other platforms or through other avenues. We are not here to find a sneaky way to make you buy some product at the end of the way. They know the aim is to focus on helping people get into the business of learning data and analytics and understanding how it works, and of course, taking it up to AI. So we have always had courses and programs in the past, and all these programs that we have had in the past have always shown that people are getting good value from our events. Again, we are Analytics Africa. We are in the business of helping people get to know what data analytics is about and help them understand how they can get the best skills out of these platforms and these technologies. Tonight, we have a special guest who is Sebastian Obeta. Sebastian is based in the United Kingdom. He is someone whom we have worked together virtually, or not necessarily worked together. We have presented together on similar conference platforms in the matter of AI. Fortunately or unfortunately, before he left Nigeria, I didn't get to meet him, but he's someone whom I respect a lot for the good strides he's making in the UK and in Europe. And who is Sebastian? He's a visionary leader in artificial intelligence. He has renowned. He's renowned for pioneering contributions and strategic insights. He's a member of the European AI Alliance and is a driving force of the University of Cambridge, where he specializes in his natural language processing skill set. He's a speaker and he's also a researcher. He won the Researcher and Presentation Award at the 2022 Data Machine Learning and AI Conference in Dubai. He's also the founder, just like I am, of the Applied Artificial Intelligence Society at the University of Bradford, England, and which is a leading platform in data science education and was celebrated in 2022 at the Leeds Digital Festival. In 2022, he was honored by the African Business Chambers as one of the top 100 business leaders in the UK, and his extensive experience in finance, telecoms, and health has helped him become a certified natural language processing engineer. His expertise spans data warehousing, SQL, Power BI, that's the Microsoft platform, and Excel, and also Python. He has a master's degree. He's a very intelligent person. He has a master's degree. I'm not sure if I could venture into that, but again, in data science and machine learning. And his research is focused on a couple of things, which include but are not limited to explainable AI, responsible and AI and ethics, and federated analytics, blockchain, new natural language processing, and a couple of new standards in the field. And he's shaping with his strides and innovation, he's shaping and driving a lot of wonderful things in the field of artificial intelligence. So please welcome tonight to the stage Sebastian as he takes us on the topic artificial intelligence and agriculture in Africa. Sebastian, welcome, and we're happy to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, while you were reading all of this, Tosin, I was like, is this me or someone else? I really
Well, is it
appreciate. Thank you so much for having me on the platform. I mean, it's always a pleasure reading your articles and also learning to see what Analytic Africa is doing. And I'm really happy to be here this evening. Good evening, everyone. It's a wonderful opportunity and a good evening to be on this platform to talk about the intersection of AI in agriculture. So I know some of us probably may probably are just coming back from work, or I can see some of my friends on the call who are 5 hours ahead of us. Probably it's already midnight where you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate. For those who are still on transit, trying to navigate their way back home and tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. So I will quickly share my screen now, and please confirm if you can see my screen. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Okay. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen now.
All right. Let me just try it again. All right, wonderful. So we are looking at the intersection of AI in agriculture, transforming the future of farming in Africa. Well, this conversation is centered on Africa. However, the knowledge can be applied to people who are tuning in from Europe. I can see my friend tuning in from Europe, from Asia, and the likes of them. So why the conversation is within Africa, because this is Analytic Africa, it can also be applied all over. So the truth of or the reality on ground is agriculture in Africa is confronted with a range of challenges that are complex and interlinked, and most of times exacerbated by social, economic, and environmental issues. So this evening, we'll be looking at one, we're going to see, is AI essential in agriculture, or is it just another buzzword? Is it just another buzzword? We're going to look at it and we are going to answer it. We're going to look at the top key challenges that faces agriculture in Africa. These challenges are not peculiar to Africa though, but we are going to look at it, and we'll look at the top 3 challenges facing farmers in Africa. I mean, the reason why I chose top 3, not because there are not other challenges that faces Africa, but these are the top 3 that sucks revenue, or that if harnessed we can revenue. If harnessed, we can use the revenue, or or it can improve the GDP of Africa generally. Then we look at some of the AI technology that can be deployed in agriculture in Africa, about 5 or 6 of them. Then we look at different branches of agriculture where it can be deployed with practical examples and where it has been deployed in the world. So at this point, you see, there is no knowledge that is a waste, or there is no cause that is a waste, in the sense that time is coming. But I normally say this, that in the next 10 years, data analytic is going to be a soft skill set to have, unlike those times of from 93, 92, where computer appreciation, Microsoft skill sets, knowing how to operate Word, PowerPoint, and the likes of them were compulsory skill set to have to get into the industry. Data analytic is going to be the soft skill. Now, in decades to come, AI is going to be another soft skill that you need to have, because every domain generates one form of data that can be informative and that can be used to drive AI and intelligent systems. So for anyone who is on the call that studied agric engineering, please stay tuned. Soil science, please stay tuned. Fishery, please stay tuned. Entomology, please stay tuned. Pathology, please stay tuned, because we are going to see how the AI technology can be deployed. So you can operate as a domain expert in agriculture and at the same time be an AI expert that drives that domain. And we'll be looking at the risk of using AI, because so many people are skeptical about using AI technology, saying, is it safe? What are the dangers? And we can't conclude this conversation without talking about some of those risks of AI technology in agriculture. Then we go into our question and answer. This is 17:17 by my time in UK, and hopefully in the next 45 to 50 minutes, we'll be done with this. It's going to be an interactive section, and to welcome you into my interactive class, if you're tuning in with your laptop, please, if you can use your phone to scan the barcode that you are seeing on the screen. If you're on your laptop, if you're on your phone looking at me, just go to the URL there, www.menti.com, and put in the code 12285726. So if you're on your laptop, scan the barcode, it brings you into my interactive class. And in the interactive section, you'll be asked to put in the code. Put in the code, and I'll definitely see you in interactive class. Yeah, I can see one person on the call, and we are just a handful. So quickly do that. And if someone can also copy this and paste it in the chat section in case someone joins us, because from time to time, we'll be interacting with ourselves with this medium. And to test run this, if you are on the screen, so there's the first question that is there at the moment, which is, what is your background? I just want to understand what your background is all about. I can only see one response here. What is your background? So please, I will want us to scan the barcode that is on the screen, and so we only have one person here. All right. So don't worry if you don't have any knowledge in AI, agriculture, both or none, it's okay. That's why this conversation is here. Wow, I was expecting to see some people with knowledge of agriculture here, because they're going to help us in driving this conversation. Okay, AI, both, none. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right. Thank you so much. So we're going to continue with we're going to continue. Now, having seen that, so the first question is AI essential in agriculture or just another buzzword? So still on that interactive class, please don't close it until the end of this section. Please don't close it. Still on that interactive class, there is another question that will pop up on your screen. Is AI essential in agriculture or just another buzzword? So the first answer, yes, AI is essential. The second one, yes, is a buzzword. Yes, AI is essential. Yes, is a buzzword. Okay. Can you all see my screen? Can you confirm if you can see my screen? All right. Thank you. Noted. All right. So, yeah, we can see that, yeah, I mean, majority of the people on the call can have said that AI is essential, but let's see truly if AI is essential in that instance. Um, we're going to look at some interesting statistics here. You know, it's if you look at the word AI and agriculture, you see that basically it's kind of weird, and weird in the sense that you only the AI is only synonymous to technology, or is synonymous to information communication, or any field related to health, or anything, but it's very hard for you to hear that word agriculture. And again, if you consider agriculture as a whole, which seems to be the cornerstone of human civilization for thousands of years, I mean, it's essential for sustenance, it's essential for economic growth, and contrast it with just a few decades ago that the buzzword AI came into existence. You see that there is a whole lot to be explored in that area. There is a whole lot to be explored in that area. And looking at it from Africa per se, these are interesting statistics that Africa possesses 60% of the world's underdeveloped arable land. Arable land means land that's agricultural, fertile, that can produce agricultural products. You see, but in the midst of that, with the same statistics, these agricultural products contribute 35% of Africans' GDP and provides more employment to Africans than any other sector, not even the oil and gas, not even any other sector that you can even think of at this point. So try to follow my train of thoughts. We have arable lands, which means there's nothing that stops us from producing agricultural products. In the same vein, we are still seeing that 60% of that land are yet to be developed. And the little that has been developed gives more employment to Africans more than every other sector, and adds 35% of the continental GDP. Africa as a continent, it adds 35% of the African continent. But come on, the big question will be, how come that Africa as a whole spends $78 billion to import food to Africa? All right, to the point that some countries like Zimbabwe, Guinea, and Sudan spend 100% of their annual foreign currency exporting importing food into their country. So I think there is something fundamentally wrong here, because if we say we have this, then we should be the net promoter of agricultural produce across the world. We should be that country that produces all of this. In that same vein, in 2020, there is this statistics that say that 20% of Africans experienced hunger. Well, hold a minute. Probably in this context, we could say that it's because of the pandemic. I mean, that's the excuse I can make, that it's because of the pandemic, because the pandemic started officially in 2020, whereas it started in 2019, December time. But the spread of it was felt more in the year 2020, that we had a whole lot of lockdown. Now, having said that, again, can someone help me make sense out of it? Why is it that approximately 80% of the continental food supply still comes from small-scale farmers? We have the arable lands, we can plant whatever we want to plant and it grows. Agriculture, with the little that we're doing in Africa, generates 35%, yet we spend $78 billion to import food, that even countries spend 100% of their foreign currencies to import food into their country. In Africa, now in 2020, we had the 20% of African continent facing hunger, and 80% of the people who are involved in agriculture in Africa are small scale farmers. So what do you think could be? So let's jump into our interactive board. Let's jump into our interactive section and let's answer this question that is on the screen. Why do about 80% of the continental food supply still comes from small scale farmers practicing sustenance agriculture? Just give me a word that you think could be the issue there. So if you're just joining us, you can scan the code there. If you are tuning in from your laptop, use your phone, scan the code, put in the number on the screen, and you join us. You join my interactive section. If you're on your phone, just swipe to a browser on your screen and type menti.com, put in the code, and you'll be on my screen. Is it possible for us to get some responses? I just want to see some responses. Why do we think that we spend 80% of the continental food supply are from small scale farmers? Sorry, I just want to be sure that someone is hearing me. Can you just tell me yes that you can hear me, or put on the chat that you can hear me? Let me be sure that yes, I'm speaking to. Let me be sure that I'm speaking to people though. All right, I can see commitment. I can see investment. Well, that's correct. Commitment may be the problem why only small or handful of people or small scale farmers are into agriculture. Investment, yes, totally agree. Totally agree. All right, so when you get a slide, you can read, okay, I can see lack of political will. True, true. Small holders, farmers. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, those things contributes to it anyways. Now let's look at some of the top challenges that faces agriculture. And I want you to follow me closely with this. Rapidly growing cities and increasing rural population to feed. This is basically saying that right now there is what they call it, there is more mouths to be fed in Africa. And again, should that even be a problem to start with? Should that be a problem to start with? Now let's look at these statistics. Currently, there is a decline in rural population at the moment. And in 1990, 72% of the population in sub-Saharan Africa were living in the rural areas. That's countryside or village, as the case may be. Then by 2021, this figure dropped by 58%. So a simple word we can say is that what we currently experience is urbanization, where people leave the rural or the villages to the city. Again, there is more demand in food and all of that. So the population increases. Well, why there is a population decrease in terms of people leaving the rural area to the urban city, there is also a magnitude of rural population increase, to the point that the percentage of rural residents declined, but the actual number increased. Hold a minute, try to digest what is on the screen. So population is increasing, but you can see the variance of population moving from one city to the another. And this is one of the challenges that faces agriculture, because there is more mouths that needs to be fed in that instance. For example, in 1990, rural areas in sub-Saharan Africa recorded about 374.5 million people. But in 2021, that number increased, but a greater percentage of them moved to the urban. So that kind of movement is constant to happen, or is bound to happen. But at the same time, it's impacting in agriculture. And what are those implications? Firstly, the decrease in the population in the rural area is suggesting that there is a trend towards urbanization, which I've said already. Then where more people move to the city. Then the second part of it, of the population in the rural area increasing, is that there is a population growth. The increase in the actual number of those residents indicates that the total population of sub-Saharan Africa has grown significantly. What is the relevance to agriculture? Definitely, there is going to be an increased demand for food, because with the overall growing population, there's going to be so much pressure on agricultural system. Part of the rural challenge could be the significant population will then depend heavily on agriculture for livelihood. And this highlights the need for us to have a sustainable agricultural practice. All right? For us to have a sustainable agricultural practice. That's exactly what it means. The reference is there. Let's look at the second one, which is food security. The second one, which is food security. Just think about this. Imagine a scenario where almost half of your hard-earned harvest disappears before it reaches the consumers or before it gets to the market. Just imagine that. All right. I'm not talking about man-made, because recently I think I saw a picture of what they call it, of cows eating up some farm produce in the farm. That's not the kind of food security I'm talking about. Here we could see that we could see that there is a post-harvest loss, which is food part of food security. And the statistics here is shocking that 650 million Africans, which represent 50% of the continent's population, they do not have economic or physical access to food. And another shocking statistics here is that we lose $14 billion as a result of farm produce not getting to the consumers. Now, and the top three contributing factors are: one, I mean, this report is from World Bank, inadequate storage, are poor handling practices. That's the top two. Okay. Now, it's becoming interesting. Let's look at the third one, which is the climate change. Currently, the biggest city in Africa is currently experiencing flood as we speak as a result of the climate change. And in 2022, $9 billion was lost as a result of climate-related events in agriculture. And if we look at the report from IPCPC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, they've given us a warning by 2050, there's going to be a potential reduction of crop yields by 20%. I mean, if we are already being pledged by agricultural reduction and the movements and the challenges, and by 2050, climate change is going to add to it. And it's becoming interesting. Now, the next one is policies and governance issue. And I think this is where we need to pay close attention to, because all of us needs to get into that point of understanding policies and governance that are associated with agriculture. Now, there are two issues here. Is it that there is a lack of effective and intentional agricultural policies across Africa, or there are outdated laws? Those policies that they have are outdated and they do not meet the current conditions of African as a country. And this is this is well noted. I'm going to cite some instances. So it's either there is a significant shortage of a well-designed policy in African countries as regards to agriculture, or the policies do not exist, or the ones that exist do not address the current needs of the challenges in agricultural sector. Now, for example, I was reading a report by Nigerian Agricultural Promotion Policies, and one of the challenges they face, or one of the challenges I see in that policy, is the issue of implementation. The policies are there, but implementing it will be difficult because of the political issues. Now, Kenya, I was reading a report by Kenya ASDS. The challenge with their own policies is that they did not factor in small scale farmers who are actually producing the 80% of the farm produce that we see in Africa. And they also did not factor in the climate change adaptation. In Ethiopia, I was reading an account, agricultural policy in Ethiopia, and Ethiopia policy, the challenge there is they did not factor in environmental issues. Was it last 2 years, they suffered from landslide that affected some of the agricultural products, and their policy did not address environmental issues, and again, lacks sustainability as well. Ghana, by the body, what they call them, I can't remember, FASDEP, they have a robust agricultural policy, but here they struggled the poor implementation. And again, part of what we've seen in our interactive class said investment, insufficient funding. So when we put all of this together, you see that it actually affects agricultural product or agriculture as a whole. Now, what do you think? Well, the references are there. Now, what do you think are the challenges that faces farmers? So let's get back to our interactive section. If you are joining us, scan the code there and join us in the interactive section. Oh my God, what happened? Okay, so if you are on the call, join the interactive section and let's look at. So the question we want to look at is one thing, what is that one thing that you think is the challenge of farmers in agriculture, or the challenge of farmers in Africa? Just give me a type. So if you're just joining us, scan this code and you join me in my interactive class, or if you're on your phone, just swipe to a browser, type menti.com, put in the code, and you join me in the section. Please, if you're there, can you just tell me one thing that you think is the challenge of farmers? It will pop up on your screen. Let's see. Insecurity, I totally agree with you. Insecurity is the top of the list. All right, can I get more response? So if you're just joining us and you're on your laptop, use your phone, scan the barcode there, you get into the interactive session, put in this code that you see on the screen, 12285726, and it will tell you, it will lead you to the interactive section. Then if you're on your phone, you tune in on your phone, just swipe to a browser and type menti.com, put in the code, and you'll see the question. Tooling, lack of access to credit facility, I totally agree with you. Governmental support, that's absolutely amazing. Insecurity, absolutely. Yes, so these are the things, but let me just show you some of the top challenges that that are captured. One, okay, I'm seeing more responses coming in. Government support. Okay, so let me just close that chapter. So that interactive section is gone. Now, one is pest. Pest is the one on the top of the list. So farmers in Africa, I've said it that they face a lot of issues, and from farm locust, swarm spam, decimating Africa to what they call it, to fruit flies affecting orchards. I mean, you could see the impact is global, and also there are financial repercussions as well. And from what we see on the screen, it impacts $70 billion as a result of the annual pest consumption and the 40% of it globally in agricultural productivity. Another challenge there is the soil quality and irrigation. I mean, to be honest, water scarcity, inefficient irrigation further adds to this soil degradation, although we've established that we have 60% of underdeveloped arable land. Now, in all of this, it's estimated about $400 billion. Come on, if all these figures are being harnessed, you could see that agriculture in Africa, or Africa should be the world food continent at the moment, if we can solve some of these top challenges. And the next one is weed. Approximately 1,800 weed species diminishes plant production by 31.5%, resulting in economic loss. And that economic loss gives us about costs us about $32 billion each year. Come on, what do you think? Having seen all of these things, what do you think? What are your thoughts on all of these things? You see, if we are still facing these challenges and we think that we need to continue the same normal farm practice that we do in Africa, then we can't achieve anything. So, because it's going to be difficult for us to achieve it, and that's why we need to use technology. Now, when we argue that we've been using technology in the past, but if we are to use technology, then we need to use the current technology, which is the AI, because it's going to impact on our natural resources. If we think that we can still achieve this, we can still achieve the same farm practice or the same agricultural practice we've been doing in the past, having seen all the challenges that we've listed from agriculture and also from farmers. And if we can deploy AI to this, then we look at the projection that about 1.7 billion as at 2023 is projected in AI in agriculture in Africa, and is projected to have about 4.7 billion by 2028. Now, how do we do this? What do we deploy AI to? AI has been a buzzword, and the next thing we need to ask ourselves is, what is AI? I'm not going to discuss about AI because I believe majority of the people, based on the survey that we did at the start of this call, or based on my interactive section, majority of people on this call are AI savvy, or they have the knowledge of AI. So I'm not going to spend more on this, but I just want to show a definition of AI, because not everything that we see can be called AI. It's called AI, artificial intelligence, because systems or computers exhibit the intelligence that we see from human. So it's a system that exhibits human-like intelligence. Such intelligence are reasoning, perception, problem solving, understanding language. And when such systems or computers exhibit such knowledge without interference of human, that is called artificial intelligence. But the four components of it is that it must be in human-like intelligence. So human-like intelligence means that an AI system that can mimic cognitive functions that humans associate with, such as human thinking, such as learning, such as problem solving. For example, AI that can recognize the speech, that can play games. Already in Singapore, they're already testing out driverless Uber driverless cars. So you order an Uber and Uber arrives without a driver in there. So another component of an AI system is that it must be autonomy, which means that little or no dependence on human. So it's going to have little or no interference by human, and will have the capability to make decisions, to perform tasks without the direction of human control. Could be in decision making, executing actions based on the directions. Now, another point here about the components that makes up the AI system is that it will have the ability to learn and adapt. It will have that ability to learn and adapt. So here, it will have the mechanism to learn, adapt to new circumstances, and improve performance over time. And the last is problem solving. It should be able to solve problems. It should be able to solve problems. Now, having seen that, let's look at some of the AI technology that we have currently that will drive the AI, that will drive AI in agriculture in Africa. The first on the list is machine learning. Let's not get it twisted. Machine learning is not coding. Machine learning is all about the techniques or the way we try to make machines to learn, to make those computer systems exhibit that intelligence. How do we train the system? How do we train those machines? Just think, for example, when you were growing up, or when you look at a baby or a small child or a baby in kindergarten or in nursery school that cannot speak, read and write. The essence of taking that child to kindergarten is for the child to learn alphabets. From alphabets, learn one or two words, can pronounce the father's name, can name the self, give names to himself, and move in that direction. So in this context, for us to make computers to be intelligent, then we need machine learning that we need to train machines to learn. And by training machines, we need to give it a set of instructions. So that set of instruction is what is called an algorithm, and it feeds on data. So data seems to be the food, and you then pass the instructions, the set of instructions to it, which is the algorithm for it to learn. Another AI technology in this context that helps us to drive those components of artificial intelligence, so that exhibit that intelligence that we see in human from computer, is Internet of Things. Internet of Things is the interconnectivity or an embedded sensors that connects to each other. Why we say a city is a smart city is the ability or the number of Internet of Things that exist in that city. For example, we have the Alexa, we have we have wearable devices, skin devices that you may not necessarily even need to see, go to your GP or see a doctor and the likes of them. So all these things are Internet of Things. So from there, you can harness data, get information that can be trained in a machine, that can be trained by a computer based on the data that has been acquired. So these are interconnectivity, and these are things that makes a smart city. Another technology here we are going to look at is computer vision. All right, so I mean, we need to make the intelligence that we see from AI needs to have its vision as well. So take, for example, if I fold your eyes and I bring a fruit in front of you and I said to you, can you just touch the fruit, feel it, and tell me what fruit it is? Well, some people are highly intuitive in nature. Some people intellectual quotients are so high that they can easily dictate what fruit that is. But in another context, some people may need to see it, and you can verify this with me that if you see the fruits in question, you don't need to think twice. You can easily point out the food unless you don't know the food. So for AI to exhibit intelligence, it needs to see. So it needs to interpret digital images. It needs to interpret the videos. It needs to interpret visual inputs. Another one that we need to look at AI technology is the robotics. Come on, this is what is currently rocking all industry at the moment, and AI and agriculture needs to have this as well. I'm going to show you videos in the course of this. Robotics, some airports that you get to, you'll see robotics doing the cleaning job. In fact, there are robotics that drives car, that even operates carrier operations in different forms. There are robotics that they use in Netherlands as I speak, which I've seen that they use in planting crops. So robotics is now the big thing, and robotics is just a fusion of science and engineering dedicated to design and construct operations and carry out tasks. Again, it exceeds that intelligence that you see in human. Now, the fifth one is drones. Now, drones, I've had this argument when I was in Germany in a conference when we were arguing, is drone an AI system? Drone is not an AI system unless that drone comes with the capability of an AI system. And I'm going to explain it. So what drone is all about is to capture the unmanned area view. And if you look at it side by side with computer vision, both of them complement each other. What do I mean by that? Drones and computer vision are not the same, but they are often used together to enhance the capability of each other. So, for example, we've seen the definition of drones. Now, its functionality, drones perform tasks such as flying, capturing aerial footage, delivering packages, and the likes of them. But computer vision uses algorithm to work. So, they are not the same, but both of them complement each other. Now, we then see the sixth technology, which is natural language processing. I mean, this is my area of expertise at the moment. So with natural language processing, computers achieve greatly with numbers, all right? By binaries, understanding numbers, you use your calculator, you type in numbers that you cannot easily calculate with your memory. You use calculation, you use computers to calculate the number. But we need to make computer to understand human language, seeing the plethora of languages that we have in the world now. So this is where, this is the state of art that was reached that made AI to be pronounced. Now we talk about chatbots, ChatGPT. We talk about generative pre-trained transformers are in multimodal functions that can convert text to images and images to text and all of that. So it's all about an AI system that helps to interpret and make sense of human languages or human text in different forms, because we communicate in languages. Some people communicate in sign language and all of that. But all of this makes up the AI technology that are being used currently in agriculture and also in certain parts of Africa, but mostly in Europe. Now, I want to welcome you back to my interactive class once again. So if you are there, or if you're just joining us and you're tuning on your laptop, scan the barcode there that you see. It will take you into the interactive section. You put in the code 12285726 there. It brings you to the class. And if you are on your phone, if you tune in on your phone, just swipe to a browser, put in menti.com, put in this code, and you come into my class. Now, there are about 7 branches of agriculture there are 7 agricultural practices that we have at the moment. Because of our time, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to pick 2 or 3. So I want you to vote in that call. But if you registered, I believe you get the slide and you'll see all the 7 applications of these 6 AI technology that we've talked about. But for the sake of time, I want you to vote for the ones that you want me to talk about. And the highest one is are the ones I'm going to go through. So we have agronomy. If you want me to talk about this AI application technology in agronomy, please, I will need you to vote for it. Horticulture, animal science, forestry, aquaculture, social science, agri-engineering, agricultural economics, agricultural education, plant pathology, and etymology. So please jump into the interactive section, and within 10 minutes of our time, I'm going to do justice to 2. Agricultural economics. So I have agronomy and agricultural economics. Let's see if we have more people, because, okay, agronomy is topping the lead at the moment. So yeah, within 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about these 2. And if we have more time, or during the question and answer time, if you want me to reflect on this, then I can talk more on any other. So if you study agronomy, in school, you are welcome to see how this six technology, how it's been used in European countries and some parts of Africa. So I'm going to dive deep into agronomy and agricultural economy. So let's go to it. Agronomy, well, that's the first on the list there. Here, agronomy focuses on soil management and the production. Agronomy focuses on soil management and the production of field crops. You know, agronomy studies the way to improve soil and crop production processes. Let's look at it from the aspect of Internet of Things, because we've said Internet of Things is how different devices communicate with each other to create a smart environment. Now, for soil, for Internet of Things, you could see that we could use Internet of Things to monitor soil real time, to understand the nutritional levels of soil real time. Because one of the challenges we talked about is soil degradation, if you can remember, that farmers face. Now, think of this. If we can capture the degrading part or the point where the soil degrades or depreciates in quality or in value with these real sensors, then it becomes amazing for us to implement it in the field of agriculture or in the field of agronomy. So if you're studying agronomy, Internet of Things can help you. So you could use some of the devices that have been implemented. Another part of it is weather stations integrated with farm management systems. I'm not sure. I think this is an updated slide. Okay, let's continue. I will try and look for where these things, the countries that have been using this. So it's not just me saying what I think, but this is some of the things that I've seen and some of the documentations that we have there. So with Internet of Things, it can help you to monitor the weather stations. Now, talking about weather stations, some people that practice green farming or horizontal or vertical farming, they use this a whole lot, the Internet of Things, to build a weather station over their farms to understand the farming systems, the weather forecast, and the climate that surrounds them. So in some countries, or for example, in France, which I've seen, every farmer needs to register with the government that supplies them with this weather station. So in your farmyard, or in your agricultural farm, or in your agricultural field, government empowers you by setting up these stations for you. You don't need to go to the station to read about weather forecast in the light to understand how it changes. Now, likewise, also looking at the crop conditions, monitoring sensors that alarm farmers to changes. Most of the fruits that we cultivate in part of Africa, which have weakness, we only know how ripe it is when it falls. But in some developed countries, like in Sweden, for example, some of the fruits that are being produced that they ship to other parts of Europe, like mangoes, you don't need to wait for it to ripe and fall before you know it's ripe. So they have a sensor that checks the health status of every fruit that is being planted. Likewise, there are orchards where they plant their oranges and the likes of them. Now, the second technology is computer vision. How beautiful will it be that you have an automated system that can help you dictate weed? Because most of the time, these weeds are embedded into plants that you can't even differentiate if they are weeds or not. For example, you have over 100 hectares of farm. You have over 100 hectares of farmland, and probably you planted just one species of crops, or you have just one crop that you plant that it's planted in that farmyard. Now, how can you envisage that there is a particular weed or there is one species of weed that is growing? Because already, remember, one of the challenges farmers face is that we have over 1,800 species of weed that exist. So how do we do this automated system? So we can use computer vision embedded in an app or embedded in a drone, to go for computer vision that can dictate weeds and monitor the health of plants. So also imaging of crops. For example, in Australia, they use it to track their wheat and barley development. Now, pest identification through high resolution. So, for example, if you bring somebody that knows AI but doesn't have the domain knowledge in agriculture to oversee this, and probably the computer vision device captured that this plant or this mango fruit is ripe, you, the agronomist, knows that this fruit is ripe, but somebody that built that algorithm will just develop it based on the label data or based on the supervised or unsupervised or the methods of techniques that have been used to build the computer vision. So the domain knowledge is very important here. Also, to identify pests, which is one of the top problems that cost over $65 billion to Africa farming and also to agriculture. These things can be deployed in tackling some of the challenges that we face in Africa. The next one is robotics. In US, which I've also seen autonomous tractors. So you don't need to have a human being that drives tractors in order to till the ground, to plant crops, or to wheel the farm. You have a plot, over 100 hectares of land. You can use those machines to till the ground, which makes work easy. I know somebody will be talking about the financial implication of this. Now, robotic arms as well for precision chemical applications. This is being used in California as we speak to spread their orchard. I remember one of those days growing up in National Root Crop Research Institutes. They have this orchard where they plant different varieties of fruits, oranges rather. Now, in that settings, I think there was a year that they did not, that all the oranges in the orchard seems to decay or to fade off easily, and it's as a result of the chemical that was spread around to cater for the weeds that grew with the orange plant. So you could see that with robotics, you can use it to monitor the precision of your chemical application, because in one way or the other, you need to use chemicals to fight this. What about automated seed sowing, which is being used in Russia? So some farmlands, when they are grown with wheat, or if you even want to harvest it, you also need a robot to do this for you. So these are some of the applications of AI technology that we use in Africa. Let's look at the machine learning side of it now. Sorry, let's look at the drones. We talked about the drones, the aerial imaging of crop to monitor the health assessment. This is currently being used in Brazil and also in the Mid East of US. I've talked about spreading insecticides and fertilizers. I mean, instead of doing it mechanically, we can use drones to do that, and planting of seed as well. For natural language processing, we can analyze agricultural reports and research for insights, all right? Utilize it in multinational agri businesses. Now, we can also build a chatbot. Of course, we have some of this in Africa at the moment, and also in India, that comes with different languages. There are also farm assistance and query handlings that chatbots can do for you. So these days you can customize GPT algorithms to fit into this. So this one doesn't require much, but requires someone who is technically sound in the field of AI to build this. Then you can build a sentiment analysis to understand the market trends, your consumer's preference. And for machine learning, you can then build a predictive analytics for your crop yield optimization, because we've seen that post-harvest is one of the issues that affects that affects agriculture, that affects farm produce from getting to the farm. Then we look at the weed identification. So when you get different species, I mean, how did they even arrive at 1,800 species? It's because they've done analytic around the weeds that they've seen across Africa and arrived at the number that we have 1,800 weeds that affects agriculture. This is being used in Brazil in their soybean farm, and we plant soybean in Africa. This can be used as well. Disease prediction. I think this is common because a South African-based company, I can't remember the name currently, uses this as well, and I've also seen this in India being used to harness or to reduce the spread of disease prediction. Now I'm going to jump straight to the next one, which is the agri-economics. Sorry, let me look at the slide again to see what we voted for. Agricultural economies. 'Let's see where that is. Let's 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 see where that is All right. So agricultural economies deals with the business aspect of agriculture. You know, I've seen someone that I've seen people that studied agri economies, and when you ask them where can they said anywhere. Well, it can be anywhere, but hearing all of this, you could see that if you imbibe yourself with the AI knowledge or you become an AI expert, you can see how productive your agricultural, your knowledge in agri economies or as an agri economist will be helpful in understanding the ecosystem. Let's look at the Internet of Things, real-time market business. Well, already agri economies deals with the business side of agriculture, including the management of agricultural businesses, the policies, the economic impact of agricultural production and farm practice. So the Internet of Things, real-time market data integration, this is being used in the US at the moment in their corn production to forecast their market demands. I mean, someone said, okay, I was discussing with a friend last week, and he said, "Oh, I've missed corn so much." And I saw someone's mom posted a picture of corn and pear. You know, I mean, those that are from Africa or that are from Nigeria will know what I'm talking about, because this is the season for corn and pear, and it's a wonderful delicacy to have at this point. So with that, for you to demand or to know the demand of corn, if you are a corn producer in Africa, then you need a real-time market data integration for Internet of Things. You need sensors that can track the inventories of the level of agricultural input that you make per year. And you also look at resource management. Now, these things can be implemented because there are devices that can do this, and you can also build these devices with the knowledge of AI. For the computer vision aspect, you could also look at the quality assessment for trade. And if you want to monitor some economic activities using satellite images, geospatial analysis in that context, so the help of drone can complement it, and also automating your trading system to predict market movement, to automate trading decisions and the visual clues. All these can help you, and there are AI techniques or technology that can help you in agricultural economies. For robotics, you could use it to do your samplings and sampling analysis. So this is being used currently in Colombia for those that are good with coffee. I mean, if you check the trends, you will know that Colombia and Brazil are one of the best places that you can get coffee at the moment. So for coffee produce, they use robotics there in some of the exchange points in their data points to analyze the quality of their bulk agricultural products. And also for precision application in economic inputs, robotics plays a role and is being used in North America as we speak for precision farming. I think I've also seen this. I mean, in Finland, though they don't have arable land, but the little farmers that plant there uses it as well. So drones as well can also be used in monitoring that instance. And for natural language processing, sentiment analysis to understand your trades, to build the analysis report, to gauge the social media about the current trends, and to influence economic decisions in commodity trading. We could also see it from financial reporting, trying to generate the revenues and the financial aspect of your business. Now, language translations for global trade, for those who are into global trade as well. Agricultural economies, which comprises agricultural policies, can also be used. Again, machine learning to build your market demands, to make your price predictions models, and also to optimize supply chain management. Okay, so in Africa and in Nigeria, one of the trading, do we still have time? How are we doing about time? How many minutes more do we have, Tosin? Let me see if I can touch one aspect of a branch of agriculture. Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks for that. So I'm going to go on. So I'm going to quickly go to fishery because, well, I mean, when I was doing the research, I've seen that many people in Nigeria precisely are going into fishery at the moment. So, and for those that studied fishery, so let's quickly let's look at fishery immediately. Where can I find it? Horticulture, animal science. Yes. Okay, let me talk about forestry, then I'll go to fishery. Forestry. I mean, this is a big thing now. So forestry involves the management, the planting and replanting. Because right now, in US, there is this, I can't remember the name, but it's Operation Plant a Seed, because some of these things affects, I mean, as a result of the forest fire that happened in different parts of the world. I think, was it in Australia last 2 years? Another one happened recently. I can't remember. So there is need for us to plant trees. So forestry involves the management, the planting, the replanting, the harvesting of forest and woodland. So forest focuses on the natural growth of trees to supply wood and wood products. Maybe I skip this, to also address climate change, because when we plant trees, it helps to balance the ecosystem as we speak. So let's look at the technology and the Internet of Things, how this can be deployed in forestry. With the help of sensors, we can monitor our environment. One of the, I can't remember his name, but his name is David. He's a very good friend of mine from Spain. He worked on a project. He built an AI sensor system that helps to capture when natural disaster will occur in Cote d'Ivoire, in Ivory Coast. So, and that was implemented. In fact, I was going through that research recently with him. So what I'm trying to say is that you can develop a system that will predict when there is going to be a forest devastation in a particular area, or a land degradation in a particular area. The advent that happened, is it in Australia or in France, the wildfire that occurred made Germany to then develop this. All the forests that they have in Germany as we speak now are being monitored with a sensor. So once the temperature increases, because right now you could see that I'm sweating, though I'm in Europe, because we are having a current heat wave in UK at the moment. My fan is on at the moment, blowing hot. The AC is on at the moment, and I'm still sweating because right now the temperature is about 25 degrees, but it's not as compared to Africa. So with that kind of environment, if the temperature increases at that point in London, and we have a forest area that is grown with dry bushes and it can ignite fire. So with the help of sensor, it helps. Last 2 years in London, the temperature increased around 32, that some houses got burned. You can check that on the internet. So as regards to agriculture, from the point of forestry, which is a branch of agriculture, we can put these sensors in place to monitor the conditions of the environment. Once the temperature is increasing, firefighters with their helicopters are everywhere trying to see, even as we speak, with this, I mean, as projected that it's going to be a heat wave, which is currently ongoing at the moment in UK. You could see that firefighters are already on standby in case if there's going to be another fire explosions as a result of the heat from all of those things. So if you don't have such systems put in place, how can you monitor some of these things? Now, that's what Internet of Things will, and it's just a small device like the one in Germany, just a small device being planted on the soil and hung on the trees that generates those informations, that feeds those informations to them. Also, to monitor the acidity nature, soil and soil moisture in US and Pacific Northwest, they use it as well. So when we talk about degradation of agriculture, I mean, the pH soils can increase to more acidity or to more alkaline nature, but how can we monitor it in order to create a balanced ecosystem? So with those small sensors, which can be developed in the lab, those things can be there. Tree growth tracking sensor can also be utilized. Now, in terms of the computer vision, you can also use computer vision to monitor the health of it. Some European forests, they use it to dictate forest and pest infestation. Automated counting and classification systems are there. Detection of illegal logging systems is currently being deployed in Brazil. And the other one is the aspect of the robotics. tree planting. So you don't need to go and plant trees across the desert as we speak. In Brazil, they are also in operation of planting trees in order to curtail the climate change. They use robotics to plant that. Now for forest as well, looking at the drones, mapping and surveillance services, large forest areas can be used. This is part of what is being used in Canada to expand some of those remote areas or rural areas and open it up for immigration purposes and for farming practices as well. That's why some of the jobs in demand in Canada as we speak are those who can drive tractors, who are into farming, and the likes of them are getting the express entry in immigration services because they have a system with the use of drone that helps them to implement some of these things. The natural language processing, analyzing of regulatory and conservative documents as well, to understand what are the policies, because there are several policies out there, but how updated are year in, year out. We have our COP series, different conclusions and decisions are being reached, yet nobody evaluates or monitor it. How can we use natural language processing to analyze some of the things that have been talked about and automate some of these processes and update the forestry operation logs and implement some of these things? So real-time translation. And the last is machine learning. So in Australia, they use it to make fire prediction models. So once you build a model, you can put it in an Internet of Things or with a small device that they deploy. And that's just how it's being done at the moment. Species identification, the movement and the diversifications of assessments of species and their movements. Machine learning can help to predict. I think somebody, I'm privileged to be one of the editors for some journal bodies, and I was reading an account of, I mean, that's very impressive. The forest movement, how forests move. Someone did a research on that, and it's absolutely amazing to see that with machine learning you can predict how forests, the impact of forest, how it moves, and the likes of them. So timber volumes and all of that. So I'll quickly jump to the last slide, or second to the last slide, which talks about, okay, so these are some of the pictures at the moment, live pictures of AI applications. This is how it's been monitored. This is how they sift out tomatoes. I think in some part of Africa now, tomato is a big thing now. It's an essential commodity at the moment, and it's cost. So you can see how they use it in plant. In fact, one thing that amazes me in all of this technology is cows. So in Netherlands, because they are one of the farm produce in cow meat and all of that, they have a sensor that they put into cows that will tell the owner when a cow is happy or not. You can see the amazing technology. So, and also in some of the, there are some certain dogs that have been banned in US now. So some of the dog owners are asking the US government to provide I mean, they can't let go of their dogs because dogs have more right than humans in that sense. So they are trying to build a device that could know when a dog is going to be aggressive. So these are some of the AI technologies they are using in likes of, and this is a robot at the moment planting trees and spraying weeds and pesticides as the case may be. Now, are there any risk associated with a rapid deployment of AI agriculture? Are there risks associated with this? Obviously, there are risks associated with this. Already, we've seen that artificial intelligence has the potential to revolutionize agriculture. Okay, and we've also seen that it can help to address some of the challenges of feeding a global population because population is on increase. Now, there is this research from Cambridge University where I work, by Professor. The link is there. You may want to read about it. A very close friend of mine, Dr. Asaf Sachot from Center of Study of Existential Risks. So in this research, he points out that why large companies are trying to develop autonomous bots and that will help in decision making to support systems. Now, he made a valid point that few are not concerned about the associated risk. And the one on the top of the risk he highlighted is the issue of cyber threats or cyber security threats. I'm not going to talk more on that, but we all know the issue of cyber. Just imagine if an AI system is being used or deployed in a wrong way or is being hijacked by hackers for agroeconomists or into policies and all of that. So you could see that it's a very big issue. But again, this is not peculiar to agriculture as a whole. We could see that some of these risks are also some of the risks that European bodies, governmental bodies are also looking into view to see how it can be harnessed. Again, it's accidental failures. Somebody said to me someday that this AI technology, they have the mind of their own, that they can decide not to work at some certain point. That's true, but in some in some cases there may be accidental failures, and this is where that's one of the reasons why I joined the European AI Alliance, for us to understand this policy. For example, if the internet sensor gives a false positive information saying there is fire in a forest, whereas there is no fire, you deploy all your resources. Are you going to hold accountable the AI device, or you are going to hold accountable the man that designed the device? So there is this tendency of accidental failures. We've seen cases of robots failing and impacting in social, economic, and also one of the things he pointed out as a risk in deploying AI in agriculture is what's this called? Social economic inequality. It tries to create a digital divide. That's the reality, but we need to still address this. So while we are trying to solve a problem, the solutions that we are offering is gradually generating a problem. But we need to look at this from both ends, because when we started, we looked at some of the challenges that farmer agriculture face in Africa. We looked at it from financial losses that they make. So how do we strike a balance? If all the billions, 100 billions or sort of that we've seen that have been projected or that we estimated that have been lost as a result of these risks that we've seen are being harnessed, it's going to create a whole lot. So they also suggested measures that can be used, such as white hat hackers that can be used to identify security flaws that are within the system. And that's the reason why, if you look at the European AI law, they try to group the AI systems based on a risk model: high risk, low risk, minimal risk, and the likes of them. So that is one of the ways that they coin about. Now, if we now deploy a white hacker, then it's going to be a big challenge within the industry to identify security, including applying it by ecologists in the technology in designing some of this. Yeah. So, and another person that worked on this project is Dr. Sean. And I think he was trying to address the risks in early adoption in the technology design phase to ensure that it's safety and also equitable in the deployment of agriculture. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where we call it a wrap. And just to conclude, obviously, we've seen that AI is not a buzzword when it comes to agriculture. We've seen the top key challenges that faces it, and we've seen the AI technology that can address some of these key challenges. We looked at 3 branches of agriculture that the 6 AI technology that we've seen can be deployed. We've looked at the risks that have been identified by the that have been identified, and at this point, I think it's time for question and answer. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sebastian.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. To the people in the house, wondering if we have anyone with questions. Do we have anyone with questions? So I would ask a question. Okay, do you feel enthusiasm? Anu, please go ahead with your question, Anu.
You can unmute yourself and ask, or if you're happy to type, that would make sense. If you are talking, I'm not sure we can hear you.
No, she's not talking. She's not talking. Okay, so I would ask to say, so what are one of the best, you've given us stuff, what are the applications that we've seen in engineering? What are the applications of AI in engineering that we've seen for agriculture?
All right, so I'm going.
30 seconds.
So for applications, so for Internet of Things, we have the IoT-based control system that can help farm equipment automation to even see if, okay, so let me define. Agricultural engineering is a technology and structures that involves farming. So it involves the farm machinery equipment and the structures to the management of soil and water resources. So from Internet of Point of Things, you can use it to monitor the equipment and automation processes, real-time monitoring. Then if you want to look at the computer vision aspect of it, you can also use it to automate inspections of agricultural machinery components. Now for robotics, unmanned ground vehicles or field operations. So if you cannot afford robotics, then you could use a form of drones as well to do that monitoring. Now in Egypt, they are using thermal image drones to dictate irrigation issues in terms of water management studies. And also, which country is it? Australia. I may not be right, but I think Australia. So for also agricultural machinery operations, they use it in agricultural operations. Now, for natural language processing, for agricultural engineering, there is this test-based analysis of engineering reports to enhance machine performance used in machine development labs. You can also use it to automate documents and reporting tools for some of the agricultural products. Then for machine learning, optimization of irrigation systems, then energy consumption optimization models for agricultural operations as well can also be helpful in that.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Anu is asking that if there's an application that can identify weeds, pests, and a model that has all the data about this, and then you can would you asking if you would be interested. So I think we can connect with Anu after and have that conversation.
Okay, yes. So Anu, let me. Okay, I think we are connected on LinkedIn, but yes, I'm happy to show you some of the applications, and there is also there's a research institute in Netherlands I'll refer you to where you can get a database of all the species of weed that they've harnessed, and you can build your model on that and channel it within your environment. I think there's also an institute in India. I said you are 12:52, almost 5 hours ahead of us. No problem, no problem. I understand. You said some people are dreaming. No problem. Yes. So just reach out to me and I'll share with you the link to it. And for those that are on the call, I'm happy as well to connect with you and throw more light on this. So you can as well, I think this is my, come on, what's going on? I want to share my LinkedIn code for you to connect with me on LinkedIn. Yes, there are apps for it. Yep. Please, you can scan the barcode and connect with me and let's share ideas together.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming, Sebastian. Thank you, Anu. Thank you for making the sacrifice. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Stephen and Ejikeme Blessing, and everybody who has come. A lot of people have come and gone, but we appreciate you all for coming. Later in a few days' time, we would send you a report of this event and also a recording of the video, and also we'll put it on our website, and It's been wonderful having you around here, Sebastian. We look forward to bringing you back again to discuss some of these important principles. And thanks for thrilling us with the Mentimeter and engaging us very, very well. You made it really, this is a classic example of an interactive session. Yes. So thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate it. And to everyone, Analytics Africa is grateful to you for coming. Please do it again with us. And thanks for having a wonderful time. Good night, everyone.
I think there's a question on the charts. Fishery. Blessing, did you register for this? Because I'll be sharing my slide to Tosin so as to share it. I listed everything there. So all the 7 branches of agriculture, I listed everything, but because of time, we couldn't cover them all. So if you register to these events, I think you can get the slide there. Or Tosin, how can they get the slide?
Yeah, we will put it, the slides are typically always on the website. So if you
Lovely.
get the slide with me, we'll put it, the video, we'll have a report, we'll put the video on the website, we put the slides on the website. So, and then we'll send a mail to people so that they can get the mail. And that's how it's going to be.
Oh, that makes sense. So Blessing, obvious. So you get this, you get the email, you get it on the website. And if you want us to continue that conversation, please do, because I'm currently supporting some farmers who are into fishery at the moment within Nigeria and in Ghana at the moment. So I'm happy to see how we can use Internet of Things, drones, and computer vision to help you monitor your species of fishes that you have in your pond, assuming you are growing such. And again, you transport it to us because we need it here in Europe. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Wonderful time here. Please, let's do this again. And we will look forward to hearing from you and having your thoughts. Have a wonderful rest of evening. And thanks a lot, Sebastian. Catch you soon, everyone. All the best.
Thank you so much for having me.